Well, we are here at week 3, and we're going to be working on sketching with stencils, basically. We cut out these wonderful little flowers like we did in class, and I just wanted to do a quick arrangement. You could do a larger one, but I'm just going to use my little pencil here and this eraser and create just a really quick, little tutorial for you guys. We didn't have a lot of time in class. I wish we'd had longer, but I'm going to start out with placing these where I want to on the picture, and then just kind of taking my pencil and creating little, not necessarily tracing the entire thing yet, but what I'm going to do is, like you can see, my anchor flowers, I made these little sketch marks. Okay, got those going. So now I know if something moves where it's going to go. So what I'd like to do first is to take my center anchor flower. So my anchor points are the top, bottom, and center. And so I always start from the middle and then work out from there. This is a really pretty Chinese peony. And I sped that up so it'd go a little faster. But what we're going to do here is just start creating shapes. Okay. So in the middle, we have this lovely round shape where all of those little stamen are. Stamens, I think. I can't remember. I wish, I'm not a botanist. I wish I remembered those things. My houseplants would probably do better if I did, just being honest. So again, now what we're going to do is create shapes. So I'm kind of just seeing where these petals go. Like the edge of the top of this petal is that part of the shape that I traced earlier. And we're just kind of eyeballing it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect shapes. They're just, I'll go and see, watch me erase stuff. I don't love that, so I'm going to go change it. Super easy peasy. Also, just as a side note, you're going to watch me in a second here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and see what I'm doing there. I'm creating those little roughly layers on the outsides of the petals where they turn in. Okay, I'm going to go in and draw those little fluffy stamen in there. Easy peasy, right? Here we go. Trace. Oh, the eucalyptus can be a pain in the tuchus to cut out. However, they're so much fun to draw and paint. They're so pretty. And so basically what I do is I just kind of get a general outline and kind of reference the picture a little bit, but I basically just create my own stems. You'll see by the time I finish drawing this, I have a lot more silver dollar shape, the leaves on there than are actually in the picture, but I wanted it to be extra full, so I just added some more. And that's what's awesome about doing it this way, is that you get the basic shape, but then it's up to you. Like, you can do anything you want with it. That's what I love about this. See, oh my gosh, look at all those. And now we're putting in another lovely little green leaf. All right. And I went for simple. I love the long, willowy kind of, I think it was called a ficus, but some of the greenery I gave you to cut out in class, the longer ivy-ish looking stuff, was so pretty, but I do love the simpler things. And there I go with a poppy. And again, we're just creating basic shapes. No biggie. And then just going back in and erasing. So I wanted the poppy to sit on top of the peony and that little bit of greenery there. So I just went in and erased that little bit. See? And the secret as well to these things is using a light hand if you have like a harder lead. But if you can get your hands on a really soft lead, that's going to help to erase the lines. So here I go with this beautiful little filler flower. Still don't know what this is called. It always looks like a hydrangea when I put it on the page. It doesn't matter. It's fluffy. That's what I want it for. All right, and then these beautiful little blue flowers. They almost look, they're not necessarily pansies. I don't remember not cornflowers either, I don't think. Well, maybe they are cornflowers. But I love the color they are. That purpley blue is just like my favorite. And so we go in and we're just creating petals. Doesn't look exactly like the picture, again, just there because it's a wonderful little shape for a filler flower. Brings a lot of visual interest. So now I have my entire bouquet or arrangement in pencil. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my Micron size 1 pen. So the smallest it goes is 005, the next one up is 1. 005 is great for like teeny tiny detail work, but I think 1 is the perfect size for this kind of job. It creates a beautiful solid line, but it's not too thick. So if you're looking for specific size pens to use for this sort of thing, and these are the art pens that you can literally just draw it on there, and within like 2 minutes it's dry and it's soaked into your paper, and you can actually paint over the top of it without it running. So that would be my suggestion, and I can put and link all of these in the video below. But basically what you do now is you just take that pen and go over everything you did in pencil. Okay, and you can see I'm adding just a little detail as I'm going. So, and that's the other great thing about a pen, is you get that basic shape down with the pencil, but then you can go in and really give it some zhuzh, give it edges and little textural pieces here and there. And if you don't like something, like if it's too small, you can just make it bigger because you've got the pen now, so you know exactly where you want it. All right, we're just filling in that beautiful fluffy ball of filler flower. And do take care to step back a moment if you need to and really think, does this need a little extra detail? Can I make it just a little more realistic or whimsical looking if that's the way you want to take it? I always love throwing a little bit of realism into my portraits or pictures or bouquets or whatever it is that I'm painting. So I love to think about the veins and the ruffles and the imperfect edges on flower petals, and I really try to emulate that in my work. All right, but you do you. I'm just saying that's what I like to use pen for. So there we go, and now I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to start in the middle of this peony, and I'm going to erase. I'm just going to go in and erase it, and look how much clearer and defined the center of that picture is. I love it. This is like the most fun part for me, is to go back in. So I'm going to go in and do this with the flowers, and you can really see a difference with the filler flowers. So you see all that pencil, all that in there, because I really just kind of roughed out that sketch. And we go, and we go. Oh, it cleaned it right up. I love that. See how much clearer that looks? So much neater. So I'm going to do that with the entire picture now. All right, and yeah, just take a big eraser and just get to going. All right. Now, if you're like me, I bear down really hard, and there's these shavings all over the place, and I make a mess, and just make sure you get as much of the shavings off the paper as you can after you're done erasing everything. That way it won't stick to the page when you're painting. So I'm going to go right in after I get all the shavings off. Pardon me, guys. I'm going to go right in and get to painting we build from the bottom up in watercolors, like I said, traditionally, and I just think it's a great idea because you can always add more, but you can't necessarily always take away as much as you'd like. So, but before I do that, I'm going to go in and add just a tiny bit more detail. Remember I said I love to add a little bit of realism into everything that I do. So I'm going to go back in and think about the lovely, delicate little veins and creases that are in these eucalyptus leaves. Okay, looks really pretty close up too. All right, just a little bit more here and there. All right, so I've done that. Look, see, it just looks so pretty. Now, the thing that's beautiful about a peony is the ruffled edges of the petals. I love that. It's so dreamy and delicate and feminine and just lush. I love that about a peony. So what you do is you just go in around the edges of those petals and just kind of add a little line here, make it a little rougher there. No biggie. And you don't have to. You can keep it smooth looking. Again, I love throwing a little realism in there. Okay, so, get a close-up of that. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. These are one of my favorite flowers to draw or paint. Okay, and so now I'm just going to do that with the rest of the flowers on the page and the rest of the leaves. I'm just go in and add little details where I need to. Now, for this poppy, I'm doing the same thing that I did with the peony, and I'm going to really pay attention to the shape of the cutout that I have. So, as you can see here, there's like a little lip on this one inside petal, and it helps me sometimes to just trace it. So, it helps me kind of just understand proportionately where it should be on the petal. So here we go. I made it a little bigger than it was in the actual printout, but I kind of liked it, so I just left it. No big deal. Again, this is all running and gunning. Remember, I told you guys, it's really actually the best way to do this kind of stuff is to move quickly. So you can see I'm kind of moving quickly through this. The less you think about it, the better, honestly. Just do. It's just kind of like you're learning to do stuff by feel. So that's why I say do it fast. Don't overthink it, just do it. So here I am, not overthinking, because I know this is not exactly how it was in the cutout, but it's how I like it. So there you go. And that's how I do our little peony friend. And then again, just gonna go through and take care of some details on the leaves. Now, get my good old utility brush out, and your size 4 or 6 brush, whichever you'd like to use. And now I'm going to start in the, I love to start in the center of the flowers first, especially if it's yellow, because yellow, it bleeds, things bleed into it easily, and it bleeds easily. So that's going to dry while I start working on the eucalyptus. Now, I love the colors for this. So these are the 2 colors that I have over here. And it's hard to see that number. So I think that says number 58. It's hard to see actually because I'm blind as a bat. But it's that light blue and that number 58 green and a little bit of white. And so what I'm going to do is get my mixing tray. I'm going to take some clean water and a clean brush, and I'm going to put a pretty sizable bead of water inside my tray. So here we go, get it here. And you'll see we'll get to a pretty sizable bead of water very quickly. Yep, that's about the size you need, okay, to start off with. Sometimes you have to add because it's a little too opaque, but that's where you want to start. So I'm going to get some of that blue. I'll throw it in there first. Not a ton, but a good, nice little dab will do ya. All right, and so that's pretty thin. You can see that's still nice and thin and translucent. Yeah, because if we put it on the paper right now, it'd be like a wash. So now we're adding in a little bit of that green. You see you've got like a darker sea foamy, and I add a little more green here because we do want it to look greener, more green than blue, but I'm going to add a little more blue back into that just to lighten it up a tiny bit. That light blue is beautiful. You're going to see it's going to lighten this right up. There you go. See? And that's kind of the color you want for these eucalyptus, sagey, silvery eucalyptus leaves. So I'm just going to go straight in with this utility brush, and remember this is liquid. It's not the typical texture of paint we use, but I find that with these the more washy the prettier. It is just so delicate and like I said before, just dreamy and lush. are the words that come to mind when you see these eucalyptus after they've dried. So I'm going in there. And as they dry, add a little more here and there. Right now for this beautiful, I love this color green. It's like the leaves of a sunflower meets a little bit of Kelly green. Like I throw a little bit of like bluish green, Kelly green in there. So pretty. You get just lots of layers of color too, which is my favorite. More bang for your buck. All right, and I'm going to just darkening up that stem just so we can have some, again, like some texture, some depth and differentiation between leaves and stem. And this is like oh gosh, that green is so rich. I love it. So again, try to play with your shades of green. And those were a little light for my liking. So I went back in and did a little more with the wash. Darken them up a little bit. You'll see, and that helped a lot. Again, like you want to give some different shades and different feelings of green on the page. Not everything has to be the exact same thing. So I left some of them a little lighter than others in the eucalyptus. Then I went back in and I didn't love how much green I had on that, so I took a little bit away. Again, now it just looks perfect. And here I go in again with the yellow, and I'm gonna let that dry and just let it, take its time. Okay, here is the poppy. I love this red. It makes me so happy. I never thought I was like a fan of red, and then I started painting, and it is literally one of my favorite. Like I probably have way too many paintings with red in it. Like it's probably a theme of mine, but I just love that color red that I have. It's so pretty. So I'm going in, leaving that little center part white, that negative space, because that's going to be the center of the flower. As you can see here, I'm going in, just making sure everything's covered nice. It's not too much out of the line. What I'm going to do now, though, after I'm satisfied with the depth of the color of the entire flower, I'm going to go in with a clean brush. This is my little dagger brush, and I'm actually going to lift a little bit of the paint on the edges that are ruffled, just to make them stand out a little more and look like the ruffled edges of flowers do. They're typically either discolored or a little lighter than the rest of them, than the rest of the petal. So here we go. And don't worry if you take off too much paint. If it's a little too much off the petal itself, and you're trying to get the edge, but you get a little too much off the petal, you can just go right back in and darken it right back up. Don't worry about it. We're just really worried about our biggest concern right now is just getting the paint off the page because it's still pretty damp. Okay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just lifting like we learned. That's our technique that we learned, I think, the first week of class. So now we're going to go back in, a little more red. I'm just going to darken that back up again, right at that edge. Okay, lift. Actually, right now I'm lifting still. You'll see, go off camera to change brushes. And I'm going to darken it up. Right, going around the edges. Ooh, look at that. Especially around the center, you want it to be the darkest red. And that was nice to to get the light spaces on the outside flowers. But again, the center, you just want to be really rich and really dark. And we're going to now go in with our detail brush, like a number 1 or a 0, and just fill in that black part. And it's okay if it runs a little bit. I personally like that little extra bit of like wispy texture. So I love this pink. It is so wonderful. And that's going to be my base color for this peony, because obviously Chinese peony is pink. You can do whatever color you want. I just love this pink personally with the yellow. Okay. And what's cool now is I'm going to go back in with that pink that I used for the all over color, just a more concentrated version of it. And because the yellow is already dry, there's no chance of that pink light getting sucked into the yellow and changing the colors. But what it's going to do, because I just put that pink wash down, it's going to like do the damp on damp thing, like that technique we did in the first week. And it's just going to kind of go phew, like a cloud. It's so pretty. And you can see it's kind of doing that already. And I'm going to push it around and make sure that it's, even and soft. But just going back in again with a little more pink paint to darken that up, make that yellow really stick out. Okay, I'm going to do that in the creases of all of these petals. Just kind of show where it connects. Okay, there and there. It's looking so good. So happy with it. Like I said, peonies are like one of my favorite flowers to paint. They're so gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going in with that dark, but now I have like this rosy, like blush color that I'm putting on the bottom of some of these. Just wanted to see what it looked like. Didn't love it, so I went back in with a light, like a white wash with that white paint that we have, and I lightened it back up because I wasn't loving that peachy thing. But now I'm actually going in with a red, with a nice deep red, and it's just giving so much more vibrance, especially around that yellow. And because that yellow is so vibrant, it looks like just a big yellow blob in the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of that red color that I just put in around the edges, and just with the slightest amount. I mean, it's barely even on my brush. And I'm kind of dragging it into the middle of that yellow, so it gives it a little bit of differentiation between the pen marks and the yellow paint. Okay, and I just love how this one has turned out. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of the colors, okay? Because you can paint those whatever colors you want. There's nothing specific about that. And they're really simple flowers to color too, so no biggie. So that's it, you guys. And now we're gonna move on to a wash. So usually I will wash before, but you don't have to, which is great with these kind of pieces. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to create a wash in my little mixing pan. Okay, got a nice big bead of water working here. Okay, it's what you want to start with because it's going to get pretty loose and pretty translucent. Okay, nice big workable bead. I'm going to take that blue like I did in the first mix, that light blue again, so pretty. And then I'm going to take, I cannot recall the number of the color, but it's a seafoam green. It's that beautiful like seafoamy green. Mix the two together, okay, and you get more of an aqua color, which is so nice. And then I'm just putting I think I put a little tiny bit more blue in there, but then I'm just going to add water, and I'm really going to get it like super translucent. If you can drag it away from, like if you can drag the edge of the circle up and you can see the pan, that's perfect. That's what you want when you move it to see the bottom of the mixing pan. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and make some swirly whirlies. And this is where you can skip it, or if you want to see how I'm doing this, but basically just going where there's white space. And also getting the rest of the shavings off the page. Here we go. Oh, it's such a relaxing color too. I love this like aqua color. It's gorgeous. Okay, and I usually do it twice. I don't usually do a wash one time. So I'll wash it and then let it dry for a second, and then go back in with a second coat. And it just gives more, gives a more interesting texture on the back of the page. Okay, going in, and don't be afraid to get up in it, like next to the flowers, because they're pretty dry. So don't worry about it. It's probably not going to make it run. Yeah, there we everything turned out beautiful, and I'm just super, super happy with how this turned out. Well, there you have it. That was our quick sketching tutorial, and I am super excited about seeing you guys soon. So, see you next time. Bye!